what else? What are some other benefits that you see about a horseshoe arrangement or U-shaped seating arrangement?
I
Is
think
when
that in use, oh, sorry, in,
sorry, miss. It's clearly says is when someone is sharing like an idea that you can like see the person, so everybody can put attention to the one who talk and or to the teacher too.
Okay, so in this case, again, we have that the interaction or the attention, it's easier to be paid because, again, there is more like a personal circle rather than a row or than a big circle that you cannot see everyone. Ulises, what were you going to say?
oh, about the, like it's good for discussion between classmates about the topic. I don't know.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it definitely is going to promote discussion. Obviously, in this case, that is going to be led by the teacher first, if it's the activity, or if he or she, talking about the teacher, has another activity prepared, but definitely leads to a discussion.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what about, so imagine I have right now we have what, 12 students in the class. And then I have a U-shaped, or I have two horseshoes arrangements in the class. Is it easy for me to monitor as a teacher and to see who or who isn't, who is or who isn't working or not?
I think yes, because you could be moving around.
Uh-huh, exactly. So as a teacher, I can be moving around. The space can give me that opportunity. Can I see, do you think that it's easy for me as a teacher to observe and identify those who are not working? Okay, and what should I do in this case? Thinking now, I want you to think a little bit about this. So you know what? I have a group of 12 people, and I decided to make three groups of 4 people. Horseshoes, the space can give me that opportunity to make 3 groups of 4 people. And then I
Mm-hmm.
noticed that, you know what, in group 1, I have Andrea, Ulises, Alejandro, and Hassan. These 4 people, they were working okay, but you know what? I noticed that Hassan started showing his cell phone to Ulises, and now they are playing around and they are not working. But I know that Aster, Carol, Andrea, and Genesis, they are working okay. But I don't want to have Ulises and Hassan together because they are just looking at their phones. What do you think it's? What do you think it's more? What do you think it's a possibility for me in that case? Like, what would you do? Would you let Hassan and Ulises keep working together, or what is a possibility in your classroom for them to start working without uh, making a lot of change?
I don't know. I'm just thinking about the time when we had the activities, and I don't know. Probably with the activity that you ask us to do, we need your phone. It could be like for example, an excuse to Hassan to show the phone to Ulises because they need to say something about the topic of the class. Um, but another could be like to, for example, just to one group move Hassan. So for example, in this case will be I will be in the group of Ulises and Hassan will be on my group, and you don't like did a lot of change. You like two people.
Okay. All right. So that can be one possibility. Genesis, what can you say?
I just I just see like something that really works to make students keep in the task is once you provide them time limits and
Okay.
they know that I just have like 2 minutes to complete the activity, so I won't have time to share things with my companion.
Hmm.
Just focusing on the task.
Okay. So in this case, it is something that we have discussed, I guess, in the past, or that it has been brought up to the discussion. The timing. In this case, I cannot tell the students, you know what, you're going to work you four together and just finish the activity, because finish the activity for them can be, okay, I have 20 minutes, so in the 20 minutes I'm going to be talking for 15 minutes and then 5 minutes to work, because maybe the class is going to end. So I have to have a specific time for them, and I have to tell them, you have 5 minutes to discuss, to open your book and finish activity 3, to write something on your notebook, to do a poster, etc., etc., etc. But I have to give them a limit, a time for them to complete that activity. Now, Asa, can you go back to the interaction slide? I think the one that Ulysses had.
This one?
Sorry, atmosphere. Yes. Um, Now, the atmosphere can be also connected to environment in the classroom, which is also connected to classroom management. Why do you think it's important to have this type of atmosphere or environment in a class? So we have all of these points that Ulysses made about atmosphere or environment. Why do you think this is important?
Teacher, well, I do agree the explanation that Ulysses told us concerning with this kind of atmosphere, but I am thinking about that given that the teacher is going to be dealing with more than one group, small groups,
Mhm.
I think it could be better if the teacher had kind of ID or assistance to try to do a better control of the little groups.
But what do you mean assistant? Like to have another person?
Yeah, not only the teacher.
And but how would you, in this case, what thinking about, because normally when you have a group, you don't really have another person. Talking about English classes, maybe for example, in the case of Andrea Torres mentioned that she was working at, what was the name of the school?
Montessori.
Montessori, yeah.
Montessori, sí.
And she was one of the assistants to the teacher. So, for example, in those cases, it can happen. But normally, for example, in English classes, you don't really have an assistant unless there
Okay.
is a person who is doing the
Okay.
practicum and stuff. It's not, you know what, let me just go and help you. It's always you, because you're the teacher.
Okay.
So in this case, uh, what do you think? And this is something that we're going to see eventually during the semester, and something that you're going to see during the
Okay.
following subjects and semesters that you go through. But in this case, for example, so you have a group of 20 students and you make 5 groups of 4 people. The classroom is no problem, you do it. How do you control, how do you monitor all of them? What can you do? Because it happens. It has happened to me and I have done it. But what would you do? So you have 20 students, you make 5 groups of 4 people, and you have to make sure that they work. How do you do it?
Well, I think you have to spend um, a little bit time with each group, but to be in contact with them.
So we have to be in contact with them, definitely. We have to be monitoring. That's for sure, like it's a must. What else?
It's just that you have to move around.
Mm-hmm.
If you have that group and probably like for example, could be that you are with group 1, but you see that number 3 is like joking and laughing. So you can like explain that, but put have your eyes to the group number 3, so they will see like, oh, okay, the teacher is seeing us and she's noticed that we are not working, that we are laughing. So it could be like that. So you have to move around. You don't have to be like sit on your desk, because probably students won't do anything and they will like try to do something, but they are.
Mm-hmm. In this case, definitely. In this case, as a teacher, if if I want to make sure that they are actually working, I have to be moving around. This is something that is connected to proximity that Aster was talking about. I cannot be in only one place, even if it's in a U-shaped or if it's in traditional rows. I cannot be in one place. I have to make sure that they know that I am present in the class. If they see me next to the door standing up and just looking at them, yes, I am listening, but again, the sound, the noise, the voices, they are going to kind of like uh, be disappearing to me, and I'm not really going to be paying attention. So what do I have to do? I have to make sure, as Alejandro mentioned, go to each of the group, maybe not interact with them, but just listening, but just listen to them, sorry. So I can see that one, they are working, and two, they can see that I am paying attention. Because if I stay in the middle of the class and just looking at them, the noise, the voices, whatever they are doing, I'm not going to be aware of. So I have to be moving around. I have to be observing. If even if they are adults, you do it. Why? Because sometimes adults are like children, especially when they are learning a new language. So the idea is to be moving around, but also making sure that you're not too, and this is why body language is important. You have to be, as a teacher, you cannot be too strict or too like tense. You have to move around and you have to feel sure. You have to be comfortable as you move around, because also the students notice that. So body language is very important, and for you not to feel tense or not to feel like, also because sometimes it happens, not to make the students uncomfortable with the proximity. So you get close, but not enough, so that they don't feel that uncomfortable with you as you are monitoring. Okay. And let me see. Well, I think this covers all of it. Is there anything that you want to share about the U-shaped or the horseshoe seating arrangement?
No, it's just that in my opinion I prefer this kind of arrangement,
Yeah,
because it's like benefit for you as a teacher and for you as a student too.
yeah, definitely. I think it's one of the ones that I prefer as well. If I mean, personally, it's one of the ones that I prefer, and the ones that I work with a lot, depending on the class that I have. So yeah, this is also one of the ones that I prefer. All right, guys, thank you very much. This will be it for team 2, and we have team 3, which is Andrea, Beltrán del Rio, Alejandro, Genesis, and Marisol with cluster. Do you guys have your presentation?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, we are team number 3, and we are going to explain about clusters.
Okay. So clusters is when you have students who are seated in groups of 2 to 5. And what makes this so versatile, you can theoretically start from traditional rows and columns, and you can have people work in pairs, and then very quickly you can add more to the group and then switch back if you want. And this promotes cooperative learning. And because students can obviously easily work together. And one of the things that was on the PowerPoint for the class, it said that you can have like mixed abilities. So you can have one student who's a little bit stronger in whatever topic, and you can secretly assign them in the group, and then so they can help some of them who are not as strong. And they don't have to know it, otherwise, it'll cause tension. But there's definitely been situations where you can be that for some students, and some students can be that for you. I can't see the presentation anymore. What happened, guys?
If you want, I have the presentation on my computer. In my
No,
computer,
it's okay.
it's okay. Okay.
Can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
Okay.
And also, it's helpful for shy students who do not want to talk in larger groups, because in the U shape, you almost have like a more open, like the students talking in more of like a community setting, whereas when you have like small groups, it's a lot less intimidating for the shyer students to speak with a bunch of people at the same time, where you can see everyone, and it's more like a conference as opposed to small little groups that can be 3 other people or 1 other person or 4 other people. And it's easier a lot of times for them to open up and to offer different perspectives. They can even give each other feedback about what they're going to say, and then if they have to get up and say it, then it's different. Like they can express themselves, and then it's almost like a stepping stone to if they have to speak in front of the whole class. And that's for the students who don't normally open up as much, it's easier for them to work with.
Mm-hmm.
We have the atmosphere, as Andrea told us a moment ago. Cluster is a kind of cooperative learning, because it allows students to be free to make more mistakes without being punished by the rest of the classmates,
Mm-hmm.
or because it creates a more personal and safe environment for students to share their ideas, and it is very suitable for small spaces. So it remains the idea of cooperative learning, because if I made a mistake, it will be in front of 2 or 3 more people, and not the whole class. So it is a big step that we have to do before to be dealing with big groups.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's it. So we can continue with the other display.
Okay.
Okay, well, and talking about the behavior facts, well, one thing that it really helped students is like changing the seating arrangement. For example, in the first says different seating arrangement can help to keep your students' attention. So as you mentioned before, the horseshoe, it helps the teacher to have more control of the classroom environment.
Mm-hmm.
So keep practicing pairing, group work, and different seating arrangement with the whole group can help you to have their attention in the front of the classroom. And something that is really, really common is that those who sit in the background tend to distract other classmates. And as I mentioned before, in my experience, I used to do homework when I sat on the back of the classroom.
Mhm.
So yeah, and having like, for example, this horseshoe kind of arrangement, it helps your students to do not get distracting each other. And larger classrooms usually have more behavioral problems. And this is something because I mean, while you're explaining, you can be like focusing in the ones who are in the front or ones that are in the back of your classroom, but you're not able to see like the 50 or 60 students that you have into it. So what you can keep doing in those cases that you have larger classrooms is like in order to do not have like a lot of noise,
Mhm.
you can practice the pair work or smaller groups to avoid these kind of behavioral problems.
Mhm.
And those are some of the most common behavioral problems.
Okay, so we have distracting other
Marla?
students.
Marla? Is Marla here?
Marla, yes, but I think it's
Yes,
Marisol, no?
yes.
Ay,
I
sí, Marisol,
do.
perdón,
Marisol.
perdóname.
It's okay.
Well, and these are the most behavior problems. And we have distracting other students and instructor in class. Well, in other classrooms exists the typical boy that isn't pay attention and do a lot of noisy, and sometimes they say bad jokes. And number two, lack of discipline. They are the boys that their parents ignore them, so they try bad to his or her teachers, and they are the most important in class. Number three are hyperactivity. They may have troubles or sitting quiet when we need it, and they always jumping or climbing in the class. They have emotional problems. These students put emotions on displays. Well, when I was when I was a girl when the teacher scolded me, I cried. And finally, we have family problems. They need a lot of help, and all the day go to the psychology. And that's it.
Okay. All right. So now let's just stop right there for a minute. Don't, can you, okay, no. I'm
Oh,
gonna,
okay. Mhm.
yeah, in that one. So in this case, cluster in a way is very similar to the U-shaped horseshoe. The difference is that you're actually like, you're more like making groups rather than the U-shape. Now, something important that Marisol was mentioning here. So we have the behavioral problems. These are some of them. There are way too many behavioral problems that can happen in the classroom. But the one that I do want to the ones that I want to point out would be, for example, 1 and 2, which is distracting other students, and instructor, which is a teacher in class, and lack of discipline. So normally this happens even if you're working with adults. When I say adults, I can be talking about people who are 18 years old, which are young adults, to 60 plus, right? And that's normally, for example, again, and I'm talking about English classes, that's sometimes how we are, this is something, sometimes how students are in one group. So I can have, you know what, a beginner group, level 1 group, and I can have students that are 55 years old, like 2 or 3, and then I also have 2 or 3 students who are 18 20, 21 year old. And that can, what can happen in here is that, number one, they can distract each other, they can distract me as a teacher, or simply there is a lot of lack of discipline. How would you control this? So you have the cluster arrangement, you are making groups, but you know that from the 20 students that you have, 4 of your students are very, it's easy for them to get distracted, and it's easy for them to distract others. What do you guys do? No idea?
Oh, I thought that I was disconnected.
Okay.
No. So imagine,
Maybe.
so in this case, I mean, obviously we're talking about in here, my question would be more like experience from me, because this is something that I have had as a teacher, or that I have seen in the classroom as a teacher. But how would you, or thinking about, maybe not you as a teacher, but as a student, that you have gone through elementary, that you have gone through uh, middle school, high school, or English classes, like what has your teacher done when you have experience, or when you have seen students who are distracting others? What do they do, or what have they done?
Well, in my case, the teacher used to move the student to another place.
Okay.
Maybe the student was always with his social group.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, Pepito, I'm going to move you to the social group that is not always talking, the shy group. So
Mm-hmm.
he put it there. Oh, she put it there. Well, he's the Pepito, always making trouble. He's still making noise and talking. Also, to the ones that are shy, were talking to him. So it was always Pepito's trouble, a troublemaker. So what the teacher at the end always had to do is or put it in the front or next to her or him, depending who was the teacher.
Okay, so in this case, yeah, moving him or her around is one of the things that we have to do immediately, because otherwise he won't be, or she won't be learning, and the rest of his or her peers are gonna be the same. They're not gonna learn. Now, how can you prevent this? So you know what? You have your activity in mind. You wanna do it. It's gonna help them to learn whatever skill you're practicing. But again, from the 20 students, you know that 4 students for sure are going to get distracted and distract others. So how do you prevent this?
Maybe by giving him or her an advertisement. Yes, to say it like that. Like if you are talking too much or making too much noise or whatever, you are going to sit next to me or you're going to be my assistant, but
Yeah.
in a bad way. I don't know,
Yeah.
something like punishing the
Okay,
student.
so giving him or her a warning.
Mm-hmm.
A warning, yeah. Okay, so giving him or her a warning. Now, in this case, what is another way? Again, we're talking about preventing this. So
Well,
what do we have to do before a class? What do we have to do as teachers? before class.
Like we have to arrange the classroom.
Okay, so we have to arrange the classroom. So that's one. What else? What is like the most important thing we have to do before we start teaching a class?
Oh, well, you need to have a plan.
Exactly. So in the plan, what do you think that you should include when you are doing this activity where you're going to divide the groups? And again, you know that Marisol, Dana, Marla, and Hassan are the ones who get distracted.
Mhm.
What are you going to do as you're planning your lesson plan?
Oh, special activities for them.
Okay, but I
In
want
order
them to, but what if you want them to work, like to work as the rest of them? Like you want them to do the same activity as them.
Oh, well, yeah, what I mean is, as Andrea told us a moment ago, to separate that little group and to
Okay.
put each of the members in another group,
Uh-huh.
just to be participating with the rest of the group.
Okay.
But you have destroyed the little group that had
Exactly.
that problem.
Uh-huh. So in this case, that would be the idea. And as you were mentioning before, I kind of finished, so I can let you go because then they are going to scold me because it's a little we're running out of time. We have to plan. If as a teacher, I have to do my lesson plan. Have an idea of what they are going to do. I am planning my activity, and in my activity, I know for sure that I am not going to put Hassan and Marla together because they are best friends, and the only thing that they do is to talk about their favorite movie or TV show. So
Yeah.
you know what? Out of the other, if I'm making a group of 4, I know that Carol and Ulises are the ones who are going to work, and that's it. And they are not going to tell anything to Hassan and Marla because they are not going to listen to them. So as I do my lesson plan, I have to make sure to also include the name of the students that I want in every group, but also have a plan B or plan C because I know that maybe not all of the students are going to attend to the class, right?
Right.
So those are the things that we need to that is one of the most important things that we have to consider. Plan ahead and make sure to identify your students and who you want to put put them together with. Because if you forget or you make a little mistake on that arrangement, at least in that group, you can pretty much limit the learning because not all of them are going to be
Yeah.
participating, and that's what you want. Interaction, which is going to lead to learning, not individually, but as a group, which is also one of the most important things we have to do. Okay. I'm gonna stop right now because then I'm gonna continue talking. So I'm going to let you go right now. We are going to continue tomorrow. Tomorrow we're gonna start now with the classroom environment. So that's something that we're gonna have a discussion about. But for now, that's it. Thank you very much for your presentations, and I'll see you tomorrow, okay?
Okay.
Thank you, Miss.
Hopefully
Have a
you'll
good
see
day.
me. Yes,
Bye.
thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Miss. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.